quiet, classy, psychotic, but loved by so many. Why is Neo such a loved character? She, as of Volume 3, has had a total of 0 lines. She has not said one word. She might grunt and make fighting noises, but aside from that, she doesn't say anything. And yet, she is one of the most beloved characters. Why? Is it just the Boba Fett effect where you don't need a character to talk for people to love them? Or is there something psychological going on in her head? Let's delve a little deeper to see whether or not we can pinpoint why Neo isn't speaking. The obvious culprit that people tend to jump onto when asked why someone doesn't speak is that are they an introvert? Now, don't confuse introvert with shyness, or anything of the sort. Many introverts are easily capable of socializing just like anyone. They just highly prefer not to. Shyness is where a person usually wants to connect with others but is incapable of doing so. Neo is not shy, seeing as how big of a player she is within her team. She's a part of this group of criminals, and most of the time they rely on her. They trust her even with the lack of communication on her end. She doesn't seem to be shy in the least. When Team RWBY were on the train and they encountered her, Neo was smiling and more than ready to fight all 3 of them, but was still satisfied with only Yang. We see this with multiple other encounters as well. She jumps into the fray with a smirk on her face. Shy? Not at all. Introverted? Judging by how often she's in a group and around other people, doesn't seem like it. If she were to be an introvert, she would be alone most of the time. She would feel rejuvenated by being alone and drained by being in the social environment. Most of the time, you can see her side by side with her polar opposite, Torchwick. He is one of the biggest extroverts in the series. You see him committing all these crimes in the shadows, not trying to get caught. But anytime you see him on screen, even when he's trying to keep his plans hidden, he's too social. He's acting as though he's the ringleader at the circus. All eyes are on him, and he can't help but put on a show and chat it up. He's too extroverted for his own good, constantly telling RWBY about his plans and what he and the people who hired him are doing. While on the other side, Neo fights, ends the battle, and wants to kill. She does all that efficiently and without a single word spoken. Not shy and not an introvert. But what if it were her past that made her into this psychopathic mute criminal? And before your minds begin to wander, I'm not talking about events in RWBY that did this to her, because we don't know anything about Neo's past as of the making of this video. What I'm talking about is the age-old argument of nature versus nurture. Whether we act as we do because of the way we were born, nature, or we act as we do because of how life treats us, nurture. Is Neo acting the way that she does simply because she was born like it? Or were there events in her life that did this to her? A small part of this does have to do with her age. Since Neo has not been given an official age and trying to find anything results in people saying, at the very least, she's legal. So just forget about her age altogether. You see, when people are born, no matter who they are, you always go under the assumption that everyone starts without any innate goodness or evil in them. Rather, circumstances will reinforce or punish our nature by causing us to lean to good or evil. So no one is born good and no one is born evil. Events in their life help or harm who we become. We don't know much, if anything, about Neo. We know for some reason she has affiliated herself with Torchwick. She fights fluidly with him, and it seems to be a bit of a Harley Quinn Joker kind of relationship she has with him, just without the words. She is unusually loyal to this one person, and we have to wait to see where it goes. So, I've talked about introvert versus extrovert, nature versus nurture, and now let's talk about the 2 different kinds of offenders, cause why not? The socialized offender and the non-socialized offender. The socialized offender usually breaks laws from having picked up behaviors from his or her environment. It is the product of learning through conditioning and observation. Did Neo become a criminal because it was the environment she grew up in? Or is she the non-socialized offender? These crimes come from a long series of frustration from unmet needs. Now we don't know if Neo has a long series of frustrations or unmet needs. but she seems to fall more into the socialized offender more. If she were to have grown up in the criminal life, well, she is more likely to continue that kind of lifestyle as it's what she's used to. But since I'm talking about the brain and childhood, we need to throw in conduct disorder. Basically, it's disruptive, repetitive, and persistent antisocial behavior during someone's childhood. This is where the child constantly violates the rights of others. Usually this will fall into 4 groups. 1. Aggression towards people and animals. People, yes. Animals, no. 2. Property destruction. Neo is more for chaos. 3. Deceitfulness or theft. Yes, on both ends. And 4. Serious rule violations. Yeah. Young children who usually commit these sorts of acts tend to have age-appropriate friends. They show concern for the welfare of their friends or gang members, and they're very unlikely to betray them by informing on them. The younger that the problem arises, then the more likely it is to persist through the child's life. It's quite possible that Neo met Torchwick when she was a child. That is presuming Torchwick is older than her, which is safe to assume. The chances of Neo informing on her associates are next to none. Does she have age-appropriate friends? Well, considering Neo is able to do a plethora of different tasks, it's safe to assume that she may be a young adult, maybe her early 20s. But now let's vaguely talk about Neo's parents. Don't get overly excited. In broad terms. So the question is, can good people raise a monster? You tend to presume that villains come from broken homes. The problem with the kid ultimately wraps back around to the couple who gave birth to the child. However, marriages with severe marriage disharmony, instability, alcoholism, mental illness, antisocial behaviors, and other problems frequently, but not consistently, are the result of psychopathic kids. It does happen a lot, but not very frequently is that the cause. So just because Neo is crazy and quiet doesn't exactly mean her parents are too. That was just something I had to throw into the pot of discussion. Ultimately, this video was to not give you definitive proof for or against Neo, but it was rather to open your mind to what might really be going on inside Neo's head. Is she an introvert? Did she grow up in a life of crime? Was she born like this, or was she pushed into this life? Just a little video to open your mind next time you see her.